Hello, welcome to Informative Conversations Podcast. My guest today is Chu Tang. Chu is an author, podcaster, and a wellness and beauty entrepreneur. Chu also comes from a family that has survived 3 communist countries. Welcome, Chu.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks. How about you?
I'm good. I want to say thank you for accepting my invitation. Today, we're going to discuss Chu's book, I Am the American Dream. Be brave to be different. So let's get started. Chu, I want you to start off by giving us just a little background about yourself and your family, where you were born and so forth.
Okay. So I was born in Cambodia, and then I moved to Vietnam, and I also live in Malaysia, and then I moved to US. And after I moved to US, I moved to New Zealand and Canada for a job, and then now I'm back to US.
Okay, so talk a bit about your life when your grandmother came to live with you.
So my life, my grandma was there ever since I was born. And I believe she was the one who helped me, the first human that helped me when I was born. And so I spent 30 some years with her until she passed away.
And so but your family had a business, and your grandmother is the one that was home with you and your siblings. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yes. So my grandma moved in with us, and then she babysit us, and then when my family is having, doing the business.
Oh, okay. So talk about some of the things you all did when you all were playing as kids, like when rain became your childhood comfort blanket. There's so many nice stories in here, right?
Yeah. So when I was a kid, so from my first years of my childhood, I was like living in a utopia. I was very innocent. I didn't know, I never heard of war, right? Never heard of death, never heard of anything. So I thought, people live forever. And I had no fear. And then because Cambodia was very hot, right? So when it rained, we like, oh, wow, it's playtime, right? So I always liked the rain. And then in my book, I wrote about kite. I always like, kite. Yeah, and hide and seek. So those are the 3 elements of my childhood that I love. Yeah.
Wow. So now let's fast forward to you started to school and you were in Cambodia, and then y'all got a new prime minister.
Yes.
In Cambodia. Is that when life started to change?
That is when I first learned about that. If I don't do something right, I might get in trouble. So that prime minister decided to make Chinese illegal. Yeah. So the only language we could study was Cambodian. And of course, by ethnicity, my family are Chinese. So my dad know that Chinese is important. Yeah. So I was told that if the police come to our house, if they happen to find out that, we're learning Chinese, then what should I do as a kid? So that maybe is the first sign of learning something about fear.
And what age were you then?
I think I was very young, probably 5 years old, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now talk about your first vacation.
Oh, my first vacation to Vietnam, right? So, well, my uncle was, I don't know, he was just playing with me or what, but he said, oh, Chu, you're going to go on vacation to Hong Kong and Thailand with your parents. So I get so excited because just the thought of flying in an airplane. And then it didn't happen. They took my brother instead. So then when I found out that I get to go to Vietnam to fly, I was so happy. Yeah, I was just so happy. And then I flew on the airplane with my grandma and then my cousin. And I got so sick. Yeah, because it was a small airplane and I'd never been in an airplane before. I was really sick. Yeah.
Okay. So before that though, when you said your brother got to go on a trip that you thought you were going to go on,
yeah,
you got kind of deflated when your grandmother left.
Oh, about that one. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So my grandma went to Vietnam. Yeah, she went to Vietnam, and then I thought, it's kind of like when you own a dog and then you go on vacation and the dog thought you would never come back. And then at that time I was so young, so I thought my grandma would never come back. So then my mom actually was the one who told me this story about she saw me feel I was completely quiet, and all that. Yeah. Yeah. But then she came back and then that was when my mom said, okay, if grandma come back to Cambodia next time to Vietnam, it is like no brainer. She would send me to go with grandma. So in a way, my mom saved my life.
So now as we move forward, you said your younger brother, since when they returned to Cambodia, there was bombing.
Okay, so what happened was I went to Vietnam with my grandma and that cousin, right? And that cousin, because it's my uncle's son. So he went back because he was getting drafted in Cambodia, so he had to go back to Vietnam. Okay, and then later on, my parents sent my sister and my older sister and my older brother to come join us. So then the four of us together. So, and then the last visit with my parents is younger brother and my younger sister. So they came to visit, and then my younger brother sensed that something is not right. Little kid, they have strong intuition, and he said, no, I'm not going back to Cambodia because there's bombing there. Yeah.
So your grandmother, though, she believed in Buddha, and she said Buddha had told her she could sense that something was not right.
Yep.
And even though your father, who you love, was trying to convince you all to go, you all didn't go.
Yeah. Wow. And my grandma said, nope, we're not going back because she believed Buddha. Yeah. So she saved our life for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So talk about when you were 8 years old. And they were teaching you all this song, F-U-C-K, America. Where were you then? Talk about that song.
Okay, so the communists took over Cambodia first, right? And then we lost touch with my family, the rest of my family. And then now, I think it was like a month or two later, the Viet Cong took over Saigon, and then they renamed it to Ho Chi Minh City. They changed all the currency. And then they make us change our uniform. So we're no longer wearing blue dresses. So we have to wear pants. And they say, well, because you guys need to learn how to farm. And then every morning they will make us sing that song, F-U-C-K, America. And I was like, I have no idea who's America. But I remember vividly. And everybody just follow because that's part of the brainwashing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you separated from your parents, and you're in this place where they're taking over.
Yeah, they're taking over.
How long was the period of time where they got a new leader and then you started seeing the change in the takeover?
Very fast. It's in the blink of your eye. Very fast.
Wow.
So they change everything, including entertainment, right? So on the channel changed. So we start watching movies from Soviet Union, right? And then we start hearing, like musical about how great communist is, everything. They change and and then they also tell people that, hey, if you tell the kids that, hey, your parents are not loyal to us, you have to report them. So it's a complete brainwash.
Wow.
Yeah, in a very fast way. And then currency. So everything that anything, currency, textbook, the school changed too. The textbook, what you're supposed to learn, that's completely changed. And then also you can't really trust anyone. You can't even trust your friends anymore because your friends may report you.
Wow. So they started banning books. So
the books from because we were learning Chinese from Taiwan, so they banned those. They banned those. It has to be from China, from Soviet Union, all that.
Wow. Yeah. And then one of the things that stood out to me, you said when they changed the currency, all the money that you all had, like people have in their homes,
they're not valid.
If something happened, it didn't matter because they didn't want it. And they didn't come for the change because they figured people not going to be saving change.
Exactly.
So I said, oh my goodness.
So, Jacqueline, we are talking about 1975.
Wow.
50 years. 50 years ago.
That's why one of the reasons why your book was so captivating to me, because I'm literally talking to someone who has generations of transitioning into a communist country. And being able to come out.
Yep.
So you were saying that song was the first thing you all had to sing in the morning.
Yep.
And why did they hate America so much?
I don't know. But now I know, right? Back then I didn't know.
Wow. Talk about what happened to you when you got sick.
I went to a ocean to swim. And then I think I probably got some infection into my brain. And then after that, I didn't feel right. So I was getting sick. And then suddenly, like one day, they have to take me to the emergency. Yeah. And then I find out that, and I didn't know it was called meningitis, because back then I had no idea what is it called, right? Yeah, some brain infection. Yeah. So, but it was after I came to US that I described to the doctor, and the doctor said, oh, it's meningitis. Yeah. So that was the first time that I heard, I still remember that moment that the doctor told my aunt that I'm going to die. So, and the first time I heard the word die, it's like, wow, what does it mean? Yeah. So, and yeah, that really made a big impact in my life. And my grandma was there with me. Yeah, and she saved my life because she spent all night praying. And that's the first time that I witnessed the powerful of praying.
Right.
The power of praying.
So I want to make sure that my audience understands that at this point, you're still separated from your parents. It's you and your two siblings and your grandmother.
Yeah, just four of us, yes.
Yeah, just the four of you. But your mother and father and your two younger siblings are back in.
We have no idea. We have no idea what happened to them.
Because of what happened in Cambodia.
Right? Yeah, the killing field, all that. We have no idea what happened. And then also the rest of my extended family too, because I had a big extended family, grandparents from both sides,
Right.
And also cousins and a lot.
Speak a little bit, if you don't mind, speak a little bit about the killing fields, because I'm looking at this picture and this is just unbelievable.
Yeah, so the killing field, when I finally reunited with my family, and that was 14 years apart, and then my mom, we in our whole extended family, we only have five survivors. So my mom, my young sister, my young brother, and my two aunties, my mom's sisters, and the rest they all died, including my dad. And I have a younger sister that she was born after I moved to Vietnam that I never met.
Right.
Yeah, but she was my youngest, and she died too. And what happened was when the communists took over Cambodia, they lied to the people and say, oh, there's still mines or bombing or not safe in the city. You guys have to move out temporarily. So they chased everyone out. And of course, a lot of people left without thinking they would never come back, right? So they didn't bring much belonging, right? So they got in I heard that my family got into a truck, and then of course eventually ran out of gas. So they just keep chasing people out to the village somewhere. Just keep chasing, and then and then of course people got sick. Like my younger sister died of diarrhea, all different diseases. And then so during the 3 years, 75 to 78, a lot of people die, and then some got killed, right, by the communists, because if you don't obey, they'll hit you to death, or they shot you, all that, right? And then the men don't are the one that died the most, because they make them go to work, right? So most men did not survive. Khmer
So
Rouge.
you write, ironically, the Khmer Rouge took pride in a colossal pile of unidentifiable skulls as their trophy, though in reality, it was a stark symbol of the immense human tragedy.
Yes.
And you said, sadly, due to the unpopularity of the Vietnam War, most Americans never heard of the massacre in Cambodia that began just before the fall of Saigon in 1975.
Yeah.
And then there's like a picture of them just, the bodies just laying there and with rain coming down over them.
Yeah. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that picture. It's an illustration. Okay. So when my sister came to US, she shared her story. And then she described to me about the rain. You know how when I was a kid, I love rain, right?
Right.
And she described me about the rain. So it's kind of like a blanket because the kids is kind of sleeping out in the open, right? Yeah, and then the rain is kind of the blanket to them. And also because when it rains, the animals don't come out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so in a way, it's kind of feeling safe that it rained. We could sleep now without worry. Yeah, because they're out there in the jungle, right? They're out there in the jungle. Yeah, and so when she told me that, I have this picture in my mind. So when I was writing this book, I hired a New Zealand artist to draw it out, and it took several times, and finally when she came up with that illustration, I said, "That's it. That's it. That's what I have imagined."
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I want you to talk about the memory of your dad.
Well, the memory of my dad was a perfect dad, perfect son, perfect friend, perfect human being. I can't think of anything that he wasn't perfect. And he was very fair to all his kids. You know how in that generation, they would tend to favor the son more than the daughter, right? You know, it's the older generation, right? Or between husband and wife, the husband will feel like have more say and the wife has to obey, right? But not my dad. He and my mom were best friends.
Wow.
They met via arranged marriage. But they were best friends, and he would ask my mom for advice, and they worked together, business partner. And then when he come home, he would help my mom, do all the housework too, Yeah. My dad was very intelligent. He was a very intelligent, very good business owner. Yeah, he has a great strategy, a very intelligent guy, but very super humble. Very humble, very quiet, and he had a great heart. Whenever he had money, he would donate, and then when he donate, he would keep it as anonymous. He doesn't want to, get credit for it.
And you were 11 years old when he passed away.
Yeah, and I remember the moment that we got that letter from my uncle. Yeah, that he passed away. Yeah, it was sad, very sad.
Yeah, to talk about that letter because it was several.
Yeah. So my uncle, my uncle, but for my mom's brother, he left Cambodia to go to Vietnam, and then later on he immigrated to Paris.
That's right, you did say that.
Okay. So he got the news from one of our family friend what happened to the rest of my family in Cambodia. So he got the news, and then so he wrote us a letter and sent the letter to Malaysia. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he lists chronologically who died first, and that's the letter that we received and find out.
Freedom or death. Talk about that journey. Talk about that because we hear about this, about immigrants coming here, but you detail that trip in the book.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
My escaping from Vietnam?
Yes.
Yeah. So because we lost our freedom, because when the communists took over, we lost our freedom, and they actually confiscated my uncle, which is my father's brother's house. So they just moved themselves in. Yeah, they moved themselves in, living in his house.
Where did you all live?
No, we were in Vietnam. And so my uncle had a house and business, and then the Viet Cong, I guess now we call communists, they just moved themselves into any house they want to move into.
So did they move in with you all?
No, we were renting in a different place. Yeah, so my grandma, my sister, my brother, 4 of us, we rent at someone's house. We rent a room in someone's house.
Because they took your uncle's house.
No. Before the war, we already have a separate. We all live separately because my father wanted to make sure that we're independent.
Right. Yeah.
And then we're not getting influenced because my uncle's kids, they like to play, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're not the one that loves studying. So my father was very careful. Okay, let's not have them live with my uncle because then all we live with my uncle, we may get spoiled or something like that, right? So anyway, so we have our own. We rented a room in someone's house. Yeah, away from my uncle's place. Right. Yeah. So when the communists took over in Vietnam, they just decided that they move into my uncle's house. So they start living in there.
And they just put your uncle out?
No. My uncle was still in there, but the big brother is watching you. So they're there. So think about it. They live in your house. You have zero freedom. They watch what you eat, everything, right? Because they literally live in your house.
They were there with your aunt and your uncle?
Yeah, the whole family, yeah.
Okay.
They just moved themselves in. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's almost like they confiscated his house.
Right.
Yeah. So they can't do anything, right? So so that's why the only way to get the freedom back is escape. And then of course when you escape, we already know that you might not survive. So, but the people is willing to choose freedom over death.
Okay, so Chu, if your uncle was going to escape and they're living in his house, wouldn't they know about the plans for him to escape? I mean, how did he and his family?
That's a good question. So they say, if you pay me some money, I'll pretend I don't see you.
Yeah, the gold bars.
Yeah, the gold bars. Yeah.
Okay, well then pick up from where you all had to meet and get on this boat and come.
Yeah, so we have to get on the truck and then go somewhere close to the coast to get on the boat. Yeah, and then we got on the boat, and that was the first time I got separate from my grandma, right? Because my grandma before the escape, she fell down. Right. She was in a rickshaw, and then they flipped, and then she fell down. She couldn't get up. Yeah, and then on the boat, we were there for a long time. Yeah, and that's when I first, received help from the Navy, the U.S. Navy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then is that what? Because you say in here, I have this somewhere you talk about. That's what it became. That moment was you was grateful for the U.S. Is that it? And that's when you wanted to become pursuit of the American dream.
Yes, because the U.S. because you know who is really real when you really needed help, right? So during the whole escape, there was no other country that reached out to help us. So on the boat, it was the U.S. Navy that stopped to give us food, right? There's no other country that will stop to give us food. And then when we got on the island, there's no other country that want to sponsor us because we have no money, right? U.S. is the one that sponsors us. Yeah, so I don't care about how people say U.S. is bad, but you have to look at the humanity side. U.S. has helped a lot of people, give dreams to a lot of family. Yeah, and one of them is mine. Yeah.
Right. And so you talk about how you all were packed in on this boat, and it was so many of you all. And then, do you have any idea about how long you were on the boat before the boat started to sink?
Yeah, I think it was about the fifth night, I think. Yeah, it started to leak. It started to leak. Yeah.
It started to leak, and then they put these floats out and told you all to jump on the floats.
Yeah, and they just, before you know it, I'm already in the ocean.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That must have been an experience.
Yeah.
And so you made it to the other side. and you were accepted. A Cuban church sponsored you all.
Yeah. It's a Cuban church in Fort Lauderdale. They sponsor us. Yeah, I don't know how they know of us, but they sponsor us. And I was with my uncle's family, so 13 of us. We flew from Kuala Lumpur, which is the capital city of Malaysia. So basically, they took us on a boat from the refugee camp to Maxine, which is the closest city. And from there, I think we get on land transportation to Kuala Lumpur. And we stayed there for, I think, probably about a week, because they still have to process immigration and all that, right? And we all have to go through medical exam, making sure that we don't have diseases, things like that. Yeah, properly going through all the legal process. And then we got on the airplane, the Pan Am 747, and it flew from there to Guam. It stopped in Guam for gas, because that's back in the old day. They cannot make one stretch, right? So stop at Guam, and then it went to SFO, San Francisco Airport, and we got on the small airplane from San Francisco Airport to Fort Lauderdale. And then the Cuban church, the church people, they came to get us, and then took us to, and we stayed at the church for a while before they found an apartment for us. Yeah, it's just my life. Once I landed in US, my life was just so, oh my God, so wonderful, because it's freedom.
Yeah, right, because you weren't afraid anymore.
Not afraid anymore. Yeah, and everybody welcome us. And then we have some Chinese teacher. For some reason, they heard of us. They come to get us, put us in a really good school, and then we start learning English. And it was just my life was just amazing since that day.
So you talk about the racism and the cruelty of some kids that were in the school that would try to. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, they look at us because we went to a school that not many Chinese, right? Yeah, and then some. Some kids. I'm not saying majority of kids. Some kids,
right.
On the bus, especially it's always the bus, right? It's always the bus that we feel like, oh no, and then the kids like try to throw rock at us, and then it's funny. I don't think I remember writing in the book. One of my cousins start acting like Bruce Lee. And then the kids ran.
They ran? Oh, that's funny.
I think I missed that in the book.
Yeah, no, you didn't put that in there. That would have been good.
Yeah.
So talk about your ESL class and what Miss C did. I was upset with Miss C when I was reading this.
Yeah, I know.
So she's your English teacher.
Yeah, she was my homeroom teacher, my algebra teacher, and also my English teacher. So what happened was, when I was in Florida, I spent 1 year in ESL, and I learned really fast. Fast because I already learned so many different language dialects. So to me, another language was just fun, right? Yeah. So then when I came to California, I was very proud of myself that I didn't need any more ESL, right? So I went to a regular English class,
right?
And then my 8th grade teacher, she was really nice. She always thought so highly of me. So she always give me a little note, say, "Oh, you're doing great." So I thought, "Oh my God, my English was perfect. Right? It was really good." Yeah. Right. And then I went to high school. And that's when I met Mr. C. I won't say her name. And then I had a classmate from Taiwan, and she was just so happy that she get to meet someone who speaks Mandarin also, right?
Right.
So as we walking in the class, she always speak very loudly in Mandarin to me and all that. And I think probably Mr. C didn't like it.
Right.
Yeah. And then when we wrote that paper of Mice and Men, she gave me a decent grade. She didn't, was not an A. But then my older sister, when we came to US, she has to work all kinds of jobs to make money outside of school, during school. So she was a ESL assistant, and she saw my paper. Yeah, she couldn't believe it. She saw my paper on the ESL teacher's table, and then she kind of pretend that she doesn't know me and ask the teacher, say, "Oh, what do you think of this paper?" And the ESL teacher say, "Well, her writing is very good. She doesn't belong here." And that's how I find out that Mr. C had secretly transfer me to ESL. Yeah, so I was just very sad, and I didn't know how to speak up at that time. Yeah, and then I could sense that she was very racist. I could sense it, and then in algebra, it's either you get it right or wrong. So she couldn't give me a lower grade. And all the way till she had to make an announcement that I got accepted to UC Berkeley. She didn't like that.
Right. It's how she didn't like when you won first prize.
Yeah.
In her English honors class.
Yes.
You won first prize from your poem.
Yeah. So I got transferred to a regular English class. Okay.
After they realized she because they found out she had put you in that class and you didn't need to be in there, so you got transferred to regular English class. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and then my teacher at the regular English class was very nice, and that's when I find out there's a poetry contest. I said, okay, I need to do something. So I did it, and then I won, and then because Mr. C was my homeroom teacher, she had to make an announcement. And then she said, "Oh, this is just free verse." I remember she said,
"Oh my goodness, trying to belittle you." But then you talk about your family. You talk about my chosen family. You talk about the two teachers. Let's talk just a little bit about getting into Berkeley and when you went through a down period there.
Yeah. So I was a A+ student in high school because the high school I went to was not that good anyway. But then now I went to Berkeley. I'm competing with international students too, right? Yeah.
Right.
And also I make a mistake of taking very difficult classes all in one semester.
Right.
Yeah. And then because I skipped 1 year because I got sick, hospitalized, and then when I came back, the counselor said, this is in high school, the counselor said, "Oh, you have enough credit to graduate." Right. And I said, "Oh, okay." So at that time I thought, "Oh, maybe I will wait till 12th grade to graduate with my friends, right? My classmate." And then my older sister said, "No, you're not staying in high school because you're learning nothing," because I was already taking class in community college.
Right.
Yeah. So then I skipped 1 year. And then when I went to Berkeley, I started picking up like the sophomore math and all that, which was a big mistake because I should have repeated calculus. Because the calculus in Berkeley is way more difficult than the calculus in a community college, right? So then I start getting B's and C and start doing very poorly. And so that's when I got really depressed because it's something that I didn't expect.
Yeah. And then what turned it around for you?
Oh, what turned me around is that dream that I have. And it's almost like I visit the other side. And then I saw my maternal grandparents who passed away and my dad and all that. And then when I woke up from that dream, I was like, wow, I'm still alive. And they didn't have the choice, right? And I'm still alive. I still have choices. And that's when I decided that I'm just going to major in applied math instead of going for electrical engineering. Yeah. And then my class started getting smaller because I find out what I didn't do well is all those big auditorium classes in the undergrad. Yeah. So I actually did so much better in the upper division class, which is much smaller. Yeah. So that turned around.
And you say, I graduated in 4 years. I became the first college graduate in the 19 generations of my family tree. What an honor. You talk about how you started, what your desire was to do, and with the movies and film, and just talk about that journey.
So before I get reunited with my mom and my sibling, I always thought, oh my God, life is going to be happy every after, right? But not true, because we find out that we are different, right? We're different. And then, but I still imagine that I still love freedom, right? I still love freedom, and I still pursue my dream. So and I know that I always love cinematography, movies. So I pursue my dream, and then all the way to moving to New Zealand, and that was not so well accepted by my family at the time.
But you worked on different films and you made it. You made your dream come true. To be able to work on films and animation and so forth?
Yeah, it was not easy. It was not easy. So I got my first job out of college as a programmer, software engineer, and then I later on got another job into the entertainment industry, which is Sony Pictures.
Right.
Yeah, Sony Pictures, and then I took all those necessary steps, right? Yeah, so I became a production engineer. And then later on, I became a shader writer. So shader writer is writing program that makes the visual effects CG element become real. Yeah. So yeah. And then it took me about 10 years to really get into Pixar, the Pixar campus in Emeryville. Yeah.
How many years was it before you and your mother and your younger siblings and your father were separated? How many years?
14.
14 years.
14 years.
But then you still said it was a void that only your mom could complete.
Yeah, yes, correct. Because the concept of a family, even though I was with my grandma, but I was living together with my family. So in my mind, I have a complete family, and that helps me a lot mentally, and it also affects me in my future relationship too, right? Yeah. Yeah. So people ask me what I'm proud of. I say, oh, I'm so proud of my parents because they were best friends. They always, they were in love. And then I have my siblings and all that. But then when the war happened, I lost my dad, right? And even my grandma loved us so much. I just feel like something is not right, And then when my mom came to US after 14 years, I get to taste her cooking because I remember she make delicious food, and then she hand sew, and machine sew us clothing. You see, those are the things that I remember, about her, right? So she came and then she make a lot of nice food, and then she make new clothes for us. So it's kind of back when I was a kid.
Yeah, but it's interesting that now you make those dishes. You make those dishes and those foods that your mom taught you to make.
But she's always better. She's always better.
Yeah, but you said, you can admit you're the second best cook.
Second best, yeah.
So now we're talking about two broken hearts.
Yeah,
my papa and the invalid man, right? So you say, for everyone who loves deeply with no fear, learning to overcome pain is integral to achieving the American dream. There were times when I felt ashamed of myself, especially when I experienced my first heartbreak. The pain my inner child experienced was similar to losing dad, though one loss felt justified while the other did not. And then you wrote a poem that helped you find closure. And it was when your sister bought her first camera. So go ahead.
Yeah, so that's the first time I experienced like photography, right? I said, wow, this is awesome. So that's the birth of my passion later on in my career to pursue visual effects. So yeah, and it's just amazing because for me, my two passion in life is travel and photography.
Can you talk a little bit about the chapter on the lone white cloud?
Okay, so the lone white cloud is the nickname for New Zealand, and it was a very difficult part of my time. And again, I feel very fortunate that my two teachers were there to support me, to kind of mentally push me to get on the airplane. Yeah, and then one of them said, on my first morning when I wake up in New Zealand, for the first time in my life, I would say to myself, what do I want to do today for Chu? And it's a life that I never had before, right? It's always for someone and all that, yeah. And she was right. I got up and I thought, oh, what do I want to do for myself today? Yeah, so I think if I did not move to New Zealand, I wouldn't be a person of me today, because before I was quite cynical of things. I lost faith in life. I think that things were going the wrong way. Yeah, and then when I went to New Zealand, I got to learn the new culture, and the people there are so amazing. And I get my peace back. And I get to know who I am too. I get to, yeah. And then after that, when I met my husband, I was ready.
So, and talk about detached from Amma.
Yeah, that was difficult. Because that was I've seen her cry twice in her life. Once was when she didn't know what happened to my dad, right? And then the second time was the day that I left for New Zealand. Yeah, she cried out loud. Yeah.
Wow. So go further and talk about 10 days saying goodbye. You talk about Amma's last chapter.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. She was in a coma when I arrived, and yeah, it was just difficult. But then I get to understand that when a loved one pass away, that's not the end of it. They still stay in our heart forever. And who knows, when it's my time, I may get to see her again.
So talk a little bit about just how you and your husband met.
So I was in New Zealand, and then actually, I about 3 days after my grandma passed away, I had a phone call from my good friend back in Berkeley, right? And that's when she said she'd like to introduce me to her cousin. And I was like, oh, must be grandma doing the matchmaking up there. How could it be such a good timing, right? Yeah. And anyway, so yes.
And then you got your dream job at Pixar. And talk some more about that. I know we touched on it a little bit, but talk some more about that.
So at Pixar, I'm the only one that works in 3 locations. Pixar Canada, which is already closed, and then Pixar Seattle, and then Pixar Emeryville. All 3 locations. And then I got into Pixar through Pixar Canada, so I worked there for 3.5 years. And then later on, I moved to Seattle, and then I moved, in the Renderman team, and then moved down to Bay Area to work for the Pixar in Emeryville.
And name some of the movies you worked on.
So at Pixar, my first official credit was Finding Dory. Yeah, and then I also got a credit on Cars 3, and then later on Coco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. What would you say to my listeners to encourage them?
As long as we're still alive, don't give up. And everybody can live their dream. Just don't pay attention to what people said about you, because they're not you. They don't know what you're going through. Yeah, so just live your dream, and we only have one life.
Finally, Chu, if my audience, they want to get your books, they want to listen to your podcast or reach out to you to speak sometime, will you give your information, your contact information?
Yeah. So I have a link that points to all my other links. It's called bio site. So it's called bio.site/Chu Tang, CHUTANG. And it has a link to my podcast, has a link to my video, and has a link to connect with me. Yeah, so bio.site//Chu Tang, CHUTANG.
Great. But Chu, thank you again.
Thank
you. This has been very good. You have a good evening.
Yeah, thank you so much.